This is CJ again, back at it with the GOAT Sports Talk, another team update, talking about the Cleveland Cavaliers. As we know that they've, of course, have made moves over the last week to sign Derrick Rose, who will, like I said, will be a very good fit coming off the bench. He's not a great three-point shooter, but he is a good scorer still. He averaged 18 points a game on 47% shooting with the New York Knicks last year. Of course, there are injury concerns, but he is 28 years old. LeBron James is working out with him. So hopefully, something comes together with that. I mean, I think that at 28 years old, there is a possibility that Derrick Rose could, get back to the level where he could be, almost like a borderline all-star, especially in the East. And that says a lot. I mean, of course, we know the talent in the East has really, been decimated over the last, few seasons. I would say really, since 2010, 2011, I think a lot of the talent in the West has either retired, has fallen off, or has moved out west, or been pretty much destroyed by LeBron. And of course, one of the number one talents that has declined has been Derrick Rose. And I think that, for one, I think he's a perfect fit for Cleveland. I think they needed another guy that can take it to the rack, that can penetrate and create shots for those three-point shooters. And I think if he can get used to that system of, basically driving and kicking out to these three-point shooters, I think he's going to be an amazing asset, because really nobody can stay in front of him, including, Golden State. Golden State, if you look at the couple of games the games that he had against Golden State last season, Steph Curry can do anything. And Steph Curry's a decent defender. He's better off the ball. Of course, when a guy's very quick and can take guys off the dribble, he's impossible to stop. And I think that that's still going to be a key asset for him. I think the biggest thing is, can he stay healthy? Can he improve from last year, which is possible? Because, even though he finished off the season with injury, it wasn't something that was bad. It was one of those injuries where they just shut him down. They didn't want to kind of, do anything to, aggravate it any further. So hopefully he's been healing up. He's taken himself very seriously with basically his rehab. So hopefully he continues his rehab and his strengthening of his body, and he's able to kind of, continue on with his career. 28 years old is still very young. And, if somehow, some way, he gets with the right doctors. I mean, I could give you a prime example of a guy who basically was able to, continue his career through proper diet and exercise and really taking care of his body. And he did it at an older age, is Steve Nash. I believe Steve Nash was around 31 years old when he actually went to the Phoenix Suns back when he left Dallas Mavericks, and he actually had a better career in his 30s than he did in his 20s. Now, can that happen with Derrick Rose? That remains to be seen. That'll be very difficult, but that would only come if he's able to develop that three-point shot at a level that would be, at a higher clip. So I don't know if he can be that guy. He just never was really a three-point shooter, even in his peak when he won an MVP. So if he can ever become a 35% three-point shooter, and he can shoot at that 45 to 48% range from the field, I think that he can become that, especially if he can become more of a threat of passing as well. If he's able to do some things, you could see something that could be very interesting with that team. We know that now. Moving on to the big question, Kyrie Irving. Is Kyrie Irving still going to be able to stay with the Cleveland Cavaliers? He does have, I think, like 2 more years left on his deal. So in a way, Cleveland can still keep him. Now, we know what happened over the weekend. Harrison Barnes got married. We know that there was different players that were invited that included, Kyrie Irving and Steph Curry. Steph Curry was making fun of LeBron's workout video, obviously, where he was, pumping his fist. And, it was a joke. Now, we know that guys making fun of each other all the time in the league and their friends. You know how people are. I mean, at the end of the day, people, especially guys, sometimes they make fun of one another. So Kyrie Irving was laughing at it. It'd be something if he was laughing at it and he was still cool with LeBron. He never said he wanted to get traded, and he was just like, "Oh, you're acting silly, yada yada yada, whatever. You're making fun, but he gonna get you on the court. You could talk that smack, but you can't do that in a situation where it's obvious that Kyrie Irving doesn't want to play with LeBron. So It's just a very weird situation in that aspect. I think that this should be more fuel for LeBron to want to really win a title next year. I don't know what else he can do because LeBron had such a great year last year in terms of efficiency, rebounding. His assist totals were amazing. He had just a very good year. He played a ton of minutes, which he shouldn't do, which I believe with the squad that they have now, they should be able to, even with the trade. I look at it like this, discussing the trade situation with Kyrie. You got to get the best deal possible, when it comes to Kyrie. I don't know what they're going to do, but I do know that they should be able to get a good deal out of the Kyrie thing. Will it improve? Basically, it's like this. Whatever you get out of Kyrie, you need to make sure that it's not going to impact, it's not going to lessen your chances of being able to compete for a title this year. And you also need to be able to have an asset that is good long term. That's the reason why I think, to me, the best trade, which I believe that Minnesota would be willing to do it, would be to get Jeff Teague and Andrew Wiggins. That would be the best trade. The problem is that Jeff Teague just signed a deal with the Minnesota Timberwolves, and that deal would not work until really, I believe, December. I want to say it's December 15th. So we're talking about a month and a half into the season. They would have to keep Kyrie, knowing that they're waiting on this deal to go through, and have him play with the potential of him knowing that he's going to be traded. Very difficult. It'd be one thing if that deal was going to be done, maybe like it was allowed to be done in December. Then if I'm Cleveland Cavaliers, as hard as it would be, I would basically shut down Kyrie until that trade is done, just to basically, prevent injury. But 6 weeks into the season and no Kyrie Irving, it's not worth the chance of, hurting your playoff position early in the year, or even, basically hurting your chances of possibly, being able to put yourself in a position to maybe have the best record in the league to give yourself home court advantage. Because I believe, like I said, we're going to discuss different things that Cleveland can do this year to better their chances of beating Golden State. And I've said it before, I really think they can beat Golden State, as crazy as it is, but they can do it, with the right pieces. I do believe that an Andrew Wiggins and Jeff Teague deal would be, that'd be a no-brainer. And in fact, to be honest, I think that would make them a slightly better team than they would with just Kyrie and the rest of the team that they have. Because then you get two guys that are all-star caliber players in Andrew Wiggins and Jeff Teague. Jeff Teague was an all-star last year, if I'm not mistaken, or the year before for Atlanta. So, and he was over in Indiana, I believe, for a little bit, I want to say. But if you look at it, that's a very good pick. You get a guy that's basically a fringe all-star player who can basically still put up in a 7-game series. He could probably put up 18 to 20 points a game, which is serviceable in terms of against the Golden State Warriors. So that means maybe one game he might have 25 points and give Curry fits. And then he's a very good ball handler. He makes very good decisions with the ball. He doesn't really beat you up. And then you get another athlete and a guy who could shoot the ball, who's an athletic wing, who could probably end up being an amazing defensive player, who's maturing into his own alongside LeBron. I mean, come on. And then you still have Kevin Love, So, I think with that type of team, and Kevin Love and Andrew Wiggins did play with each other, I believe his rookie year, I want to say. I have to look back at it. Actually, you know what? They didn't. They were traded for one another. Silly me to even say that. They were traded for one another, so that would be kind of weird to have that team together. But I believe that starting lineup would definitely be better, and then you would have a shored up bench at that point, because then you'd move Wiggins to the 2, LeBron would be at the 3. You'd have basically both J.R. Smith and Derrick Rose coming off that second unit. That's pretty good. I like that. I like those particular chances. Also on that second unit, you would have Jeff Green coming off that second unit. You'd have Derek Williams coming off that second unit, which I believe, should have played a lot more last year, which we'll kind of get into for Cleveland going into this season. But I like that type of team, at that particular point to be a deeper rotation. If those players can click and they can gel chemistry wise, I think that that's a very good team that would basically have a little bit better of a chance to getting closer to challenging Golden State. So that's what I think with that. Other than that, there's really no other news with Cleveland. I believe that they actually are continuing on with the GM that guy that took over as interim GM. He's going to be the GM for the foreseeable future for them, as you saw in the press conference with Dan Gilbert. So it looks like they're moving forward. And I think if you're LeBron, I don't think you're really worried too much about it, because I believe that Kyrie Irving is one of those guys right now that they will be able to get 2 solid pieces and possibly a pick for Kyrie, regardless of who they trade. There's also another one. There is talks about the Boston Celtics looking for them, looking for Kyrie, and maybe coming off of maybe Isaiah Thomas and Jason Tatum, which I believe that would be a great deal as well. I just don't think if you're Cleveland that you would want to give him over to them as of right now, because that's just one of your teams you're battling against, and he's in conference. I just don't like that move. So I'm looking to me, you're looking anywhere out west at this point as the best options. One of the better options would be Phoenix. They would be able to probably look at Eric Bledsoe, and they would be looking at Josh Jackson as well. Now, is that a better package than the Teague Wiggins? Definitely not. But, I mean, at least you get an athletic wing who is a versatile player who can basically learn a lot alongside LeBron. And LeBron, I believe that he would grow so quickly alongside LeBron, believe it or not, especially if he's able to be in a starting lineup. I don't know how that will work, because they do both play the small forward position. I don't know exactly what kind of lineup you'd have. And really, to be honest, with a rookie player that on the level of Josh Jackson, where he was drafted, he needs to start and play big minutes. So his development could be stunted, which is part of the problem that they had with LeBron coming back. And the team that they had already, it was like Wiggins was not going to fit well, and he was not going to develop at the rate he did by going to the the Timberwolves. So it's kind of like, what do you do with that situation? So that's pretty much what it is, man. At this point, I just think that the best deal is the one with the Minnesota Timberwolves. That's on the table. I think that there's other deals that they're probably looking at as well. They're going to take their time because they have a lot of leverage. And really, you really want to make Kyrie just have to buckle down and just wait, play his ball. It's a very funny situation when a guy does what he's done so far, and to keep him when the season starts. It's a very tense situation. It can mess up locker rooms. It can get ugly. It can get testy. So I think that you just got to move him, and you got to basically field every single last offer and calculate what the best is. And then also look into 3-team deals where you could possibly still get an all-star player, another solid rotation player, and a draft pick as well. So I think they should look at that. But that's pretty much what it is. And let me know what you think. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm out.